So nice to meet you. My name is Riva.
Lovely to meet you, Reba.
Could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Jay. I am 34 now, just turned 34 last week. I got diagnosed with MS when I was 27. So I started like blogging a lot. I never ran before my MS, so I started blogging a lot about fitness and running with MS. I love guinea pigs. We look after a little cocker spaniel dog. I work as a counselor and I work as a sales manager, so I work quite a lot at the moment. But yeah, life is busy but good.
That's good to hear. Could you tell me a bit about how you got into being an influencer for MS?
I mean, I definitely didn't plan to do that. I basically just started posting things that I wanted to see when I was diagnosed. So when I was diagnosed at 27, I just kept searching like people doing exercise with MS, people running with MS, people walking with MS, just things like that really.
Mhm.
Um, and I was so scared of the future that I just started to blog my journey, and then I started to try and be as positive as I can. So I really share my good days. Obviously, I do share my bad days as well, but yeah, it was sort of by accident. I just did it. I guess it helped me like mentally as well, like blogging about it. And then yeah, I got a few followers, which was really nice.
You have a
I
good
know.
follower count.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh. It was really nice.
Yeah. What was your initial reaction when you were first diagnosed? How did you feel?
Oh my gosh. Terrified, if I'm completely honest. I weirdly a little bit relieved as well, just because I had so many things going on with my body. And I guess when you go into the doctors here in the UK, they were they're lovely. The NHS is great, but it was very much like you look okay. So they were like sort of fobbing you off a little bit. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, it was quite frustrating really. So I had kept going to the doctors. I had numb hands and I was like completely numb waist down with my
Mhm.
MS, and they would just tell me that it was anxiety or I was just overthinking things, and that's why I felt all these weird, bizarre symptoms. And then they said it was a trapped nerve. So I went to physio, and that didn't obviously sort anything. Yeah, it was just a scary time, if I'm honest. And I got diagnosed quite quickly compared to other people, but it was, yeah, it was hard, really hard. It's the just the unknown, really. It's just quite
Mhm.
scary. And when you Google things, you just see everything terrible. You don't
Oh,
see,
I know.
I know you see, and I Googled everything. Of course I did. I literally got to the end page of Google. That's how much I was Googling stuff. So yeah, it was just quite scary, to be honest.
What were some challenges you faced early on, do you think?
I think the biggest challenge was I just I could not stop thinking about the future. So my biggest challenge was with my anxiety. And I just couldn't, I would obsess. I would not sleep. I had insomnia for like, I had slept for like 2 hours a night. My symptoms were getting worse. And at the beginning, in between starting medication, it was just one thing after the other. Like it was a struggle to walk. I was, like the corner shop round the corner, literally like 5 minutes away. I couldn't walk there really on my own. And it just felt like that would be my forever. Obviously, it wasn't. Like now I'm running and everything's a lot better for me. But it was just so bizarre. Like I couldn't remember when I felt like that. I didn't really know how I'd ever feel more normal. Because I was
Mhm.
like, if I'm struggling to walk now, like how is that? Like MS is so bizarre. Like how am I going to be ever able to do it? But the symptoms do really just come and go. It's really weird.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was hard. And like working was hard. I went back to work the day after diagnosis and I just tried to continue as normal. And I think I did everything wrong looking back. I needed time out, but I thought I was fine. I was like, yeah, I'm fine.
Mhm.
I was not fine. I was definitely not fine. It was hard. Yeah.
So how was the journey? How did you figure out what worked for you, what didn't work for you?
I'm still learning, if I'm completely honest. So I'm like 5.5 years down, or through. Yeah, it is really trial and error. So I did change jobs halfway through my diagnosis. So the job that I did do was sales, and that's obviously quite stressful. And then I was working a lot of weekends as well because it was like in events as well.
Mhm.
And that's on my feet all day. So that I realized was becoming a struggle, but I didn't realize how much of a struggle until lockdown happened and COVID happened. So in that time I was on furlough for about a year. I just realized, like, with low stress levels and not working, I was actually doing all right. Like, obviously I can't afford not to work.
Hmm.
So then I realized that I needed to change jobs. So I just changed to a less stressful job. I ended up going back into sales, by the way. So I'm back into
Oh,
sales, even though it's stressful. But it's just a different environment, and it's a bit, yeah, it's a bit different. I find it a bit easier.
hmm.
The hardest thing I found was I'm an active, busy person. So I've always got plans. I'm always working. And to be that person in a body that just will not do that, that is hard. So the days that I have to rest at first were just, it was awful. Like, it was like my absolute worst nightmare. It felt like I was in prison. Like, I felt like I couldn't do anything.
Hmm.
But now, actually, I like those days more. I'm a bit more, I have slowed down a bit, nowhere near as much as I should have. But I've recently, literally recently, as in the last couple of weeks, I've gone to part-time work in my sales role. So yeah, I'm still making changes now, but yeah, it's been hard, definitely.
But it's
I'd say the
wonderful
hardest.
to
Yeah, the
hear.
hardest, sorry.
It's wonderful to hear how,
Yeah.
you're like powering through it, I don't know if I'd be able to do that.
Oh,
You
yeah.
are so strong for that.
Oh God, sometimes I don't feel it, honestly. But yeah, it's hard. But the weird thing about it is that you're so grateful for the little things, like, this is a disease that can take away my eyesight, my walk, like my ability to walk. Recently I had a flare up with my speech, so I couldn't talk properly. It takes me a long time to get my words out sometimes.
Mhm.
And just to be able to go outside and walk, and you see like a sunset or a sunrise, you get this gratitude that I've never experienced before my diagnosis. Like, you really do. I was like, I can see this, and it's amazing.
Mhm.
Everything just seems so much more amazing than. I mean, it could go the other way. I think it seems so much worse, but I just feel like these little moments actually are like big moments to me now.
Mhm. That's
Which,
beautiful to hear.
yeah.
Amazing. So, what do you think is the main challenge that you face?
It's the unknown. It's every new symptom you get, you don't know if it's forever. You don't know if that means you've got more damage on your brain, or if it's a flare up from old symptoms. It's just the unknown. So, like, when I had trouble with my speech recently, I didn't know if that was going to be a forever thing or if it was just in that moment. That's what I find hard. It's just not knowing. It's like, yeah, that panic when you first get a new symptom. It's really scary.
I see. Yeah, I know. I feel like uh, this is probably like not on the same level, but I'm a high schooler, right? So I'm a rising junior. Next year, I'll be doing college applications. It's like, I don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah,
People
you just
tell me
don't know.
about it, but it's
Yeah.
like, do I really know how it's going to be? Is it going to play like pan out the way I think it's gonna
Yeah,
go?
I know. Yeah, it's exactly like that. Yeah, and you overthink things in your head, don't you? You think of these
Exactly.
scenarios like, could go like this, or it could go like this, and that's
Mhm.
exactly, yeah, that's exactly it. It's
And then
just
you
that
just think
unknown.
yourself into a hole.
Absolutely, yeah, that's exactly it.
So, what do you think okay? So my company, eSteps, they
Mhm.
make shoe insoles. I know I described this a little bit in the
Yes.
paragraph. So these insoles kind of track data from like your walking data, so like gait, steps, stride, et cetera, because this data can be sent to your primary care provider,
Yeah.
and they can create like a plan for you. So they're seeing like, oh, I notice you have trouble kind of like maintaining a steady gait, right? So
Yeah.
here's maybe what we can do for that, right? So
Mhm.
what kind of changes would you like to see to a product like that, or what features would you like to see?
I don't know. I've never really used anything like that, to be honest. So to me, it's quite interesting because I would love to know, like, because I know my walking is different. Not many people would notice that,
Mhm.
but it is like one of my legs drags a bit. So I don't really know because I've never really used anything like it. And obviously here in the UK, being through the NHS, we don't really get anything like this.
Mhm.
So yeah, it would be I don't know if I can really comment because I don't really know much about it, but it sounds amazing. I did have a quick look before our call, and it all
Yeah,
sounds really exciting. Like I'd love to know all this stuff.
we'd love to send you a sample sometime
Oh
so
my
you can
God,
test it
I would
out.
love
Let us
that.
know how
Yeah.
you think, you
Yeah,
know.
I would love that.
Yeah, I can definitely connect you with my boss, Nidal. He's a great guy.
Oh yeah.
Um, he'd love to talk to you more about it. That's one thing I wanted to talk about. I was like, would you be interested in testing our product for us?
Oh my God, I would love to. That would be really ideal because then I can then yeah, I'm more like a visual. I like to see what it's actually doing and so I get a feel of it. So yeah, I'd love to try it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's great.
definitely.
Yeah. So like our Indiegogo is doing well. We're getting quite a few
Yeah.
supporters. We're
Yeah.
so what we're thinking about is like we want people to try it and tell us how they think of it so we can come up with
Yeah.
better versions so we can help more people, as many as we can.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's amazing. Because when I had a look, I only had a brief look at because I've been so busy this week.
Hmm.
Um, I've only just gone back to work from my flare up. So I was like catching up. But yeah, it does look amazing. And it comes, so it has an app. Does it tell you on the app? Is that right? Or
Yes. So
yeah,
the data that's tracked by the insole goes to the app.
that's cool. Yeah. I would love to know. I just find it really interesting because I know, even though people can't notice it, I know that I walk differently. And no
Mhm.
one ever wants to say anything. My mum's quite honest, and she'll be like, "Oh, your leg is a bit flappy. Your flappy leg, so it like drags a little bit." You know what mum's
Yeah.
like. But yeah, I can feel a difference. It would be interesting because also weirdly, with my MS, I find running easier with my bad leg than walking. So for me, I slow run, but it
Mhm.
just feels like it's easier to do that than to walk. It sort of drags my leg when I walk, whereas when I run, it sort of flows a bit better because I'm going faster.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
think,
So that's cool to hear how like the even like you notice the subtle changes in your walking, right? So
Mhm.
I don't have MS. I'm not sure how
Yeah,
it really works, right? But this has been like enlightening, I'm learning more every
yeah,
day.
yeah. It's great that you're doing this, honestly. Like,
You?
it's really good. And I've spoken to other people before who want to find out more, who are really trying with technology to see what they can do to improve things. And it's quite exciting, really.
Hmm. So yeah, that's E-Steps' cause.
And yeah, it looks amazing what you guys are doing. And I've seen a lot of my friends with MS and a lot of my followers follow you guys. I'm definitely going to keep following your page and like sharing
Thank
bits and seeing
you.
what you're up to.
That sounds amazing.
So,
So
yeah.
yeah, I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much. This has
Thank
been
you so
great.
much. Have a lovely day.
You too. Bye-bye. Bye.